Hey guys, welcome back. It's Lucid, and I am joined once again by Maryland
Howdy, guys.
and by Coconut.
Everybody.
Hello, everyone.
And yeah, we've got Coconut here for an exit interview with Ctis. We're gonna get to pick their brain about all the stuff they didn't tell us. Cool. So I guess we'll start this off, Marilyn. You think of the next question. The first thing I want to know is what was for you the highlight of the game, like from the Ctis perspective. Like when was it humming?
Good
I
question.
would say the highlight was killing a bunch of elemental royalty. And I think at that point I had a tiny chance to kind of turn things around, but of course my god died.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which one? So I remember you got the Queen of Air. You killed her with the army, right? What? Maybe walk us through this. Which were all the ones you killed? Do you remember?
Wonder if we can find it.
I actually don't remember fully, but I am pretty sure I killed the King of Fire and the King of Earth.
Right.
That's for sure.
The
I
King of
remember
Fire
those.
you might have got with the white mages, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that one was fun. Yeah, the white mages, yeah. That was very fun.
Yeah.
What was the gear on those again?
I think it was
blades?
Flesh Eaters and
Flesh Eaters.
Great Swords of Sharpness.
Yeah, and you had 3 or 4.
Yeah,
something
and
like that.
Sacred Shrouds. So these were not like your, I don't know. Well, those were really cool thugs. I think there were a lot of comments in the videos. People like those white mage thugs.
Yeah, I think that's like the kind of reason I took the Bless. So if anyone tried any battlefield wipes, I'd at least have an option to counter them.
Yeah, that's pretty clever. And that was kind of what Alm was doing. I mean, he was doing Wrathful Skies and other things with the Queen of Air Elementals and stuff.
Wonder
Yeah,
if you remember roughly the turn.
I'd have to go back and I archived a lot of the older turns, older than 61, and I think it was older than this one. But
What have you got? Which one?
I've got 61 pulled up here, but
Oh, yeah. Well, this is a busy active time in the game, that's for sure. In that 60 period.
yeah. Okay, so Marilyn, you got a question?
Yeah. If I'd like to go and look at the Pretender and then talk about the Bless. Like, what was your concept for expansion? That was the period where we both popped out and went, "Oh, this is interesting. This is quite fascinating stuff." Yeah, maybe we could build the Pretender while we're sitting here, rebuild it.
well,
So
the thing is, I didn't actually take the Pretender to expand with. I didn't have that intention to start with. He was meant to research, so I got Wailing Winds as early as possible before anyone could do any like counters to it.
Were these the scales on it? I can't quite remember.
I think
The paths.
that I think they were the paths.
Yeah, okay.
And then,
Wait, I did. I think. No, you're right.
but it
Yeah,
was
they're the
awake,
paths.
and
Yeah,
you
it was
came
awake.
out quite early in the game with, was it fireflies, I believe, or something
I think
very,
it
very.
was. I think it was Fire Flare or Fireball.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
You came
later it
out
was
very
doing Thunderstrike and stuff, but at the end of
That's right.
expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
But you ended
the
up
only
using
reason.
it.
Carry on. Sorry.
Oh, it's your turn to talk. For
Oh
sure.
yeah, the only reason why I had to kind of use an expansion like that is because I think I screwed up my expansion a bit. I could have done, I think, Elite Warriors to start with and then
Yeah.
switched over to Sobex later.
Yeah.
Didn't comment on that, Lucid, because you're.
Yeah, I
huge
went
fan
I went
of
on and on
Warriors.
about Elite Warriors. It's kind of
Yeah,
a thing
you
I
come-
do. It's like
Yeah.
it's a well rehearsed thing at this point. Where every time
Oh, would you favor Elite Warriors for all of expansion?
I think they are, in my opinion, they're one of the best units in the game. Just they have a nice mix of they're protective enough to not roll over and die, and they're slaves, so they have reduced upkeep, and they do a ton of damage. So there's if you have if somebody was greedy or you're 2v1ing them and you want to punish them, I found just like a huge ball of elite warriors will do immense amount of work.
Yeah.
But with your strategy of cranking out cranking out Marsh Masters, it, you know, maybe you didn't want to spend as much of your money on elites. You could maybe get by with less gold of Sobex, but I don't know what.
I personally, I get your point, and I think Elite Warriors, yeah, they're good troops. I think gold for gold Cerbex are slightly better. Maybe I'm wrong though, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. No,
Well,
that's possible.
I think one of the issues with the elites is you could pump them out quickly. Whereas the Sobex, you've got to slowly build them up, steady. And like so many capital only units, if you have an accident or a slip and you lose a bunch, well, then you're way behind. Whereas you could just keep pouring things like Elite Warriors out. So the role, in my view, the role of the two is different. Let me put it that way. You want to be buying all the Sobex you can all the time, of course.
Okay, so the plan was you're going to make, and this is getting back to Marilyn's question, you're going to make a Sobex and expand, and your God's going to research, and your Marsh Masters are going to research, and then you're going to roll somebody with Wailing Winds. That was the plan?
Yeah, exactly, because this can climb up research very quickly early game. And I think it was getting to Wailing Winds at turn 14 or 15 in my little tests.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had some very successful battles with Wailing Winds from my memory. Although the really exciting battles were even weirder, not weirder, but more exotic bits of pulling out the magic and the items.
I'll also say for the build, I mean, for rushing Wailing Winds, Sobex are a lot better. Like having stuff which can die reasonably easily, but is very killy, that's not really what you want for a Wailing Winds thing. You want a big pile of Sobex. It's like, try to kill these before you run.
Yes, I agree with you that in that situation, you want things that live longer rather than, kill more than they lose.
So what did you think when you spawned here and you saw who all your neighbors were? Tell me what you were thinking.
Well, I was thinking about Ulm straight away, but they were just so friendly to me. I felt bad, attacking them, so I just accepted an NAP. Maybe that wasn't the best option.
Oh, the sharpest sword is a friendly one.
I'll confess, this happens to me. For example, I'm in 2 new games with Lucid. And it's a little hard for me not to just to go, well, I'll be friendly with Lucid, even if it's a good matchup. I could suffer from that very much so, where, it's nice to have people that are friendly and reliable as allies, but maybe that person is who you should be attacking strategically, but then diplomatically, it's a different story. I'm a little vulnerable to that same thing. You
can declare war on me. Just do it nice, Maryland.
Yeah.
Bring me down easy.
I'm not going to. And that series is starting to go up on Learning, and we'll get into that later on. But the point being, just you ended up one of my earliest allies in Learning.
Yeah.
And for very good reasons, both the fact that we know each other very well. I know how you play. I know how Diplo with you would work. But on the other hand, then there's a slight hesitancy that if I needed to declare war on you, would I do so?
Yeah. I was talking with Sakinate about the exact same thing yesterday. I was like, but okay, so you saw Ulm, you were like, this looks kind of tasty. Did the fact that Ulm took cold scales bother you at all? Or did you take a while to notice that?
I did notice, but at the same time I was thinking, even if it's cold, if I cast the right spells, I won't really need to be in combat for that long. So it shouldn't matter because I'm not relying on my troops.
Okay, good point. I have a question a bit related to the neighbors. I remember noticing that you started off with the coast of the pond, and then Pelagia got some of the coast. Do you remember, did you make a deal with Pelagia actually he took some coast and then you took it back, if I remember right, the Yellow Farm and the one to its east. Did you guys make an early agreement that he would just have the single coastal?
Well, the thing is, I just attacked the Yellow Farm without saying anything to him. because I
Okay.
thought I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to get into a protracted war over one farmland. And
Oh
then
no.
after that, yeah, and then after
I
that we made the deal to
After
let
that, you
him,
made the deal. Yeah, that's
yeah.
what I remembered. Is you grabbed the independence, and of course you want to try to grab a nice juicy farmland near your capital. Um, I was even surprised though that you didn't sort of boot him out of that forest.
I mean, the
And
deal was quite nice because he said he'd like pay me one death gem for as long as he held the province, which added up to
oh,
like 40 death gems.
oh
Wow.
wow, okay then yeah, that was a good deal. Well, there you go, classic Arco, right, Lucid?
Yeah,
You know,
he's gonna make a good
you
deal.
know, purchase deals with cash or gems. I'm
Yeah.
in favor. I'm in favor. It can really be like I've bought provinces, or even I've even bought just with gold and gems the right to temporarily move across someone's land.
Yeah. So I'm chomping at the bit, Marilyn, for the next question.
You go ahead. Okay.
Um, so you all had won you over with friendship, and you decided that you wanted to go after Vanarus. I have two questions. One is, what made you decide that Vanarus was going to be your target? And the second is, I want to hear the tale of three kingdoms from your perspective with this love triangle.
Well, the second part is a bit complicated, but the Vanivus question is a lot easier to answer. Basically, I just saw him and he looked quite small, he looked quite weak, he looked slightly vulnerable to Wailing Winds because all of his mages will run, except for maybe his Kappa only like Vans, which can kind of you can kind of buff up with morale, and yeah.
Okay, and then tell us something about the love triangle then.
Well, the thing is, I had just taken the fort, and I was considering, oh, shall I push on to Vanivus's cap or not? And I saw that he had like a lot of sages in his capital, and I thought if he has air elementals, then I may be screwed, because that will just kill all my marsh masters and my army.
That's
But
fair.
I think that was a mistake because he didn't have elementals, and I think he was actually, no offense to him, one of the weakest players of the bunch.
Yeah.
I've got a related question. Did you have diplomacy going on? I mean, I remember in that period we had all four of you guys, right? Because Jotun was bouncing back and forth. And did you have any success with any of the other three to say, hey, let's divide this up? Because it seemed like it was all four of you guys without, from our perspective, it seemed like it was all four of you guys without any agreements and just a free for all in this little zone, this triangle.
Yeah, it was kind of a free fall. Nobody really said, "Oh, this province is mine. I'll be moving into it." But I think it should be mentioned that the free fall was like only aggression towards Jotun.
Okay.
Yes, there was that early coalition against Jotun, and that was for sure. It just seemed like, yeah. Were you
Well,
part of
kind
the
of, because
coalition against Jotun?
Vanarus was fighting Jotunheim, but you still wanted Vanarus, right? You had never given up on Vanarusian dreams, right? Or had you?
I gave up once I took the fort, and I think that's when I made peace with Vanivus on the condition that they attacked Jotun, and they weren't much help at all
okay.
with Jotun.
So we completely missed that. I
We
had
missed
no idea that happened at all.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, so that explains some of it. So that put you at war with Jotun, with Vanarus effectively as an ally.
Yeah, and that was probably my biggest mistake.
Oh,
Yeah.
Which part of it?
Not just pushing on to Vanivus. I think I could have won that way easier than Jotun.
I think you possibly could have, yeah. But Jotun looked so big and scary at that point.
And
Yeah,
we don't
but
know when,
I
but at some point Vanarus had army size items in their capital too. So they might have even been
There was that.
bamboozling you that early.
maybe they did trick me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, we saw those later on. Didn't somebody else use some? Did you use some army size items during the game, Coconut?
I had one that I got from an event, yeah.
Yeah, because we saw a couple cases where, like, I don't think that's a real army.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were probably right then.
You got another question for us, Maryland?
Well, yeah, related to this Triangle of Doom, what were your relations with Pelagia like during that period? Like, did you know that Pelagia was going to go and eat Jotunheim? Because he seemed to cut you off any chances of you getting some gains there.
Yeah, I did know, and actually at the point where Pelagia started to win like major victories against Jotun, that was already past the point where I had made peace with Jotun because I wanted to cut my losses.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that happens.
And also, I was friendly with Pelagia through the whole game.
Of course.
Very friendly.
Yeah. I just thought maybe you could have bought a little buffer zone around that throne. That throne sure changed hands an awful lot of times.
Yeah, it did. It was quite a nice zone as well because it had all the site that shows all the score graphs.
Oh, I know. We saw that. Yeah, we could see that, and we made that comment. And then, I don't know if you knew, and we should share a couple bits of intel that we know that we don't know if you know. Did you know that Pelagia, in the last few turns, they published it? I think so. Took over the other graph site.
The one from Sibalba, yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
They were telling me about it.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other interesting piece of intelligence that you may or may not have heard of is Ind had found Mount Chaining, and then Pangaea has now taken it, just north of it.
Yeah.
Lucid. There it is. So this was a significant thing that Lucid and I saw pop up and went, oh boy, now Ind was unable to sort of turn that into a way to stay alive. And that's a complex issue related to subbing and
what exactly is Mount Chaining?
Oh, it's a 30% blood discount site.
Yeah,
wow, that is game changing.
Yeah,
it is. And guess who's got it now?
Yeah. So on the topic of Ind, did you ever think about attacking him? How did you think about that matchup?
I did consider it briefly, but I think they can easily do stuff like Sermon of Courage, and I think their morale generally is higher on average.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I don't think it would have been an awful matchup. I think if I played well, maybe I could have edged out, especially since Pangaea was kind of attacking them anyway.
Yeah.
Well, once you got Winds of Death, well then Ulm became just huge piles of meat for you to eat.
Well, to beat off, maybe. Beat off of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's...
Well,
it was still tricky.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, but there were some amazing battles where, you just completely wiped entire stacks of Ulmish troops. But Ulm hadn't brought in, as we discussed, had not brought his anti-magic with him, or he had the one battle towards the very end where Ulm came in with two armies, but you happened to interrupt them in between and caught them separately. And
it's so brutal in Magic 3. He had the one the one MR penalty, and then he didn't get turn 1 anti-magic off. That Wind of Death must have hit, I don't know, it must have hit 70% of his army.
I believe it did. I remember that fight. I'm just going to do a quick file break, so
keep
going.
Okay, so the Triangle War had played out. You had, and this we didn't know, you had made peace with Vanarus. Y'all went on Jotunheim. He defended himself pretty well. And then you make peace with Jotunheim. And then you go into somewhat of a turtle phase. And sometime after that, you declare war on Ulm. Marilyn and I were thinking this was kind of like your last-ditch effort. Like, I've got to do something or I'm going to be irrelevant. Is that kind of how you were thinking about it?
Yeah, exactly. From the very start, I knew that my chances of winning against Ulm was slim. Because I could see the graphs and I could see he had a huge gold advantage. I think he was top for quite a while. I'm not sure if that's still true. No spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah, no spoilers. Yeah. So, did you seem to be doing a lot of low commitment things and a lot of foul vapors, and I get it was kind of weird because it seemed on one hand you wanted to whittle him down, but on the other hand you needed to like turn this war into a decisive win. Like, how were you thinking about it?
I was actually hoping to kind of draw him out in a large force, so I could maybe use my god to have a decisive battle. But I think he just didn't. He refused to come out en masse for a very long while,
Yeah.
which was sad because I didn't really want to do that either. Because all my chaff, I thought to myself, was for like sieging. I didn't really want to lose them in a battle.
Yeah. Well, that's fair.
Did you hear about the Vanheim Ulm agreement for peace early,
Um, yeah,
or
I
did it
heard
catch
about
you off
that.
guard?
I did hear about that, but I think at that point the game was not winnable for me.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
put it that
yeah,
way.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think we had made a similar conclusion by that point in time. You'd had some losses that were very difficult to recover from, and it was looking rough.
So I want to keep these short. We're at 20 minutes. I got one more question for you. Um, does this game, after this game, does it have you wanting to play Ctis again, or are you like, enough of these cold-blooded lizards, get me out of here?
Um, it's more the second. I think I would play in the next tournament maybe something with a lot of mobility and like flexibility, and maybe more magic move, because I think those things are really important.
They can be.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's a great point.
But you and I are in another game together, People Under the Stairs, where I've got the ultimate in no movement, Middle Age Agartha. So even slower than Ctis. Well, maybe not slower, but equally as slow, where every darn army is just plods around. And it's tough. Low mobility is a big challenge. You might have great magic and everything else, but I had a couple of questions for Coconut that were more related to your personal experience in Dominions besides this game. What brought you to play Dominions? Do you remember?
I didn't actually remember. But I remember playing in 4 and being a noob, and then I just played enough in 5 that I got average. Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll rephrase. What is it about Dominions that appeals to you?
I think it's just the fact that it's a strategy game. Like it's very unique. I don't think there's a game out there like Dominions that does Dominions as well as it does.
No,
Yeah.
I've played pretty much every other fantasy strategy game, either turn-based or real-time, and the only one that stays installed at all times is Dominions. The rest, I play a bit, I put away, play a bit, put away. I mean, all the way back to Fantasy General, which is way, way back in the hex-based stuff. So I guess maybe my last question is there anything you want to add from your perspective to this little audio get together?
Yeah, there's one last thing I'd like to say. I think the reason why instead of going Enchantment 5 and going Evo 6 is because I think Foul Vapors and Skelly Spam is hard to counter for bad players, but easy to counter for good players. Because you'll notice most people who had Sacreds already took poison resistance. And once you get to buff poison resistance, it's very easy to counter. Whereas Wailing Winds is kind of broken, and yeah, it's one of the hardest spells to counter. That's why I did what I did.
I agree with you. Both Wailing Winds and Winds of Death, if you have those paths, are very, very difficult to counter. I use them massively in my tournament game number 13 because I was playing against Theranos. And it was both of us Wailing Winds and Winds of Deathing each other. And what a mess. You know,
That
it
sounds
just
very
took,
cancerous.
it was pretty cancerous, and Foul Vapors was not particularly huge issue. I had a Regen Bless, for example. I mean, that's not as good as Poison Resist, but for that specific counter. But I agree with you that Foul Vapors, Skelly Spam, those are things that thugs can deal with. There are easier counters. But Wailing Winds, that's a tough one to counter.
Well, I think that's probably all of our questions. And thank you so much for joining us, Coconut.
Thank you for having me.
I just want to say in closing too, never change. Your off meta builds and stuff are hilarious to play against and watch, and you have really cool strategies you come up with. So keep doing it.
Thank you. I'm glad you like them.
Yeah, your quote, Lucid, the galaxy brain stuff from Coconut.
Yeah. Expect something really strange and cool if he's in your game.
I'm glad, Coconut, you and I have had a chance to play together. I know it's been somewhat limited, but we've had some diplomacy back and forth. And great to talk to you. Just great.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.